What's up, guys? I'm Cody Brockway, and you're back here with another live stream. It's Saturday night. You know what that means here in this neck of the woods. 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We got another live stream of Brockway's Final Bites. And so I got a full house with me. Unfortunately, we were supposed to have Scott Lade from the Prog Corner join us as well. He might chime in later on. I don't know yet, but he's had some unfortunate family issues happen today, so he as of now could not make the stream, which is unfortunate. But we've got our friend Wayne from Prisms of Prog and a Pocketful of Heep. We have Mr. Matt Brown. Say hi, Matt.
Hello. Good
We
evening.
got Lorne Murphy. If you've been watching this channel for any length of time, you know Lorne. Say hi, Lorne.
Hi, Lauren.
And we got Uncle Steve.
Hey, how you doing?
We got some new faces here, so I'm gonna go through some stuff. I just want to talk to Wayne for a second. Wayne, what are you doing in the future of your channels here?
Not too much. I have a couple reactions coming out. The first one's going to be to Mr. Kingdom by Electric Light Orchestra, and the second one's to Hey Bulldog by the Beatles. And then on Prisms of Prog, I got Continuing My Gentle Giant, listening to all their songs and that, and don't what I think of the albums. So right now, the next one's going to be Three Friends. That should be sometime out next week.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I love that one.
Yeah, me too.
Hey, Richard. Hey, everyone in the comments here. Yeah, we got a full comment stream going on here. I love to see this. We got the Wheel of Yes. That's exactly what we're doing today. Before we get into that, though, we want to talk to Mr. Matt Brown. So Matt Brown is one of the best keyboardists. I'm not saying this lightly, people. You're here on the Prog channel on Brockway's Vinyl Bites, and I just want to tell you, Matt Brown is one of the coolest cats, and he's an excellent musician. He's actually in a band called Amuzeum, and if you go into the link in the description, I've actually got a link to go buy a Amuzeum CD called New Beginnings, and he's got lots of other cool stuff going on. He's also in a band called Ten Gin, which I'll also be throwing the link for that up as well. Matt, tell us about what you're up to these days, my friend.
Well, thanks, Cody. Thanks for having me, too. This was a lot of fun.
Of course.
Glad to be invited to do this. Mostly these days, I've been doing a lot of tribute bands. There's a huge tribute band scene in Southern California. And so I've been playing in a handful of different groups. A Chicago tribute and a Queen tribute that I just joined full time.
Awesome. Boston
tribute, REO Speedwagon tribute. I'm probably forgetting a few. I mean, I do a
Genesis.
I do a lot of my Genesis. Well, my Genesis band's been the long-standing one. Thank you for mentioning that, Steve.
Gavel Ratchet, right?
Gavel Ratchet has
Absolutely.
been for a really long time, and I was in a band called Cinema Show prior to that. But
awesome.
It's been a lot of enjoyment and fun covering other people's music. And as most of you guys know out there in Progland, creating original music is predominantly a labor of love. So you do it when you're inspired, and you do it when there's something that needs to be said, right? So Ten Gin is talking about what they're going to do next. Amuzeum is kind of on hiatus right now, but we may pick it up at some point again. But we're real proud of the music that we've created. Prior to Amuzeum, there was a band called Heliopolis, and I was actually trying to find a link to purchase, or at least direct people to that record. And I think the record company that we were on is no longer in existence. So I got to see where people can obtain that if they want to. But mostly these days it's been doing the tribute thing. And then me personally, I've been thinking about what I want to do originally as a next step. So.
Well, we got a cool bit of news about one of Matt's projects here that many people may not know. I want to say hi to Jeff Shilka, who's also in the comments, by the way. Hi, Jeff. Good to see you here. Jeff is a longtime watcher of Wayne's channels and the Prog Corner as well, and so he's come over to Brockway's Vinyl Bites to say hello. But to talk a little bit more about your Amuzeum CD, Billy Sherwood produces that.
Yes. Yeah, he was a big part of helping us get that going. He produced the album, and and he was great to work with. A couple of us had done some previous things with him in the past, so that was a nice opportunity.
He's a very nice guy. He is. I've met him before too, and he's very, very nice.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a really, obviously a multi-instrumentalist and very, very talented dude. So we were really happy to be able to work with him. We felt real like, yeah, this will be really fun.
Well, he is actually on one of my favorite Yes albums, and it's not one of the more recent ones, but he's on one of my favorite Yes albums. We'll get to that much, much later. Mr. Lorne Murphy, how you doing?
Very well, thank you.
So tell us a little bit about what you got going on. I got the link that you sent me to your reviews page on Velvet Thunder, but let's just talk about that a little bit there.
There's not much to say, really. I write for Velvet Thunder. That's a UK-based reviews page and interviews with artists, mostly prog, some metal. We used to be the Classic Rock Society. We're a sort of offshoot of that. We used to have an actual physical magazine, but that doesn't do well these days, so we're online.
Yeah, I miss those. I miss the actual, like, the prog magazines, or like when you sign up for a fan club, they send the stuff to your house.
Yeah. Yeah, magazines with CDs, but oh wow, it's all part of the past. But I like doing the reviews, so I'm working on the new Rick Wakeman live box that's coming out in February.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
That's what I'm working on at the moment, and that's about it.
Awesome, Lauren. Yeah, if you want to go read anything that any of Lauren's writings, it's all in the description for this video too. And we got Uncle Steve. How you doing, man?
Hey, good, Cody. How are you?
Good. So I want to tell everyone that on Tuesday nights, you got to go listen to an online radio station called Deep Nuggets Radio from 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's my time. And up till about midnight, you get two amazing shows. Every Tuesday night, you get one from Uncle Steve to start the night off, and you get one from Mr. Matt Brown to end the night off. And you guys, I love your shows. Steve, just tell us about what you're doing on your show. Tell us about the donation show that you got coming up.
Yeah, well, I got my donation show coming up this Tuesday. And by the way, thank you, Cody, for all your donations. I've got all your songs covered that you requested.
Awesome.
Well, what we do is we don't knock everybody on the head for donations for the show, because basically the station is commercial free.
Yes, it's free. I should have said that. Sorry.
Totally commercial free. The only thing we run is promos for our fellow DJs shows in between each set of songs. But other than that, no commercials, and we want to keep it that way. And obviously, it costs to run a station, even an internet radio station.
Yeah.
And so once a year, all the DJs get together and we do like a kind of a drive with all of our listeners, and ask them, to kick in a couple of bucks, and we'll play a song for you. Name a song you want me to play, and I'll play it. Just make a $2 donation to the station, and we'll get it done.
Awesome.
And,
yeah. Otherwise, the show is completely free all year round. But, as loyal listeners, I feel it is our due diligence to contribute to the show in any way we can, even if it's just once a year. Now, sometimes I've done it multiple times a year without saying anything. I've donated randomly throughout the year before.
Thank you so much, Cody.
Of course, although that wasn't. I was just throwing that out there. But I love what you guys do. Jeff, I actually have put links in the description. I will put a link to Deep Nuggets Radio in there too. For some reason, I forgot to do that. But if you want to get Matt's CD, if you want to get Matt's CD. That's in the description. If you want to read any of Lauren's writings, that's in the description too.
Listen to Deep Nuggets.
Yes, and listen to Deep Nuggets Radio, man. I mean, every night they have different cool DJs on. Hey, we got Richard Fusey in the house, guys.
Hey, Richard, what's up?
Richard.
Yeah,
so Richard,
another one of our loyal listeners.
Yeah, he's been there. He's been there longer than you guys.
Yeah. Stay around. I'm actually going to hopefully meet up with the gentleman who started the station about, I want to say it was about 12 years ago. He's not with us any longer, but His name is Warren Bunn, and he lives out in Temecula now. But he started it and started recruiting us, various people in his circle, to ask them if they wanted to have their own shows. And it just snowballed. It took on a life of its own. And I think there's probably between 10 and 12 people doing live shows now weekly. And most of them are weekly. Some of them are every other week. But and each of them had their own flavor. I mean, the concept about it was to keep the idea of what freeform FM radio had been like before things got formatted and incorporated. So
formulaic.
Exactly. So we do have a few restrictions we have to follow, but they're very small restrictions. So we basically play whatever we want, and that includes taking requests, doing themed sets, playing 3 or 4 in a row by an artist. So when an anniversary comes up or a birthday comes up or some sort of special event comes up, if we choose to, we can commemorate it, or if we get requests to do so, we can do that. And that's the idea. That's the fun thing about having it on all the time, is that literally every show, you never know what you're going to get. Everybody's got their own tastes, and each audience kind of has their own tastes too. So it makes for a real big, broad tapestry of stuff, and we all learn a lot from each other by listening to each other.
Absolutely.
So that's one of the greatest parts about it, at least for me anyway.
Do you know how much my record collection and music taste has grown in my 4 years of listening to Deep Nuggets Radio? I just have to say,
That's
guys
awesome.
have done a lot. You guys have got me into bands like Spock's Beard and all these other great bands. I was already into Yes and Genesis and stuff, but like even other stuff that was sort of not on my radar now is, actually, thanks to you guys. So thank you so much for all you do at Deep Nuggets Radio. And they do rock, Richard. You're right. These guys are some of the coolest people.
My collection has expanded so much in the last 14 years. I've had to do several purges because there's too much.
I try to do purges.
It's hard.
I go through and I think, okay, I'm going to get rid of a big stack this time. I'm going to make room this time.
It's hard.
I
can't
get rid of that.
It's hard. It really is. But I think you guys are going to get some. I think you're going to get some listeners from this. There's already a lot of people asking about it in the comments here. So,
well, thank you for plugging us, and everybody, welcome in. I think you're going to enjoy. But one of our former jocks, who unfortunately is no longer with us, was very fond of saying, if you don't like the song that's playing right now, wait 5 minutes. You'll probably like the next one.
Yep.
And that's pretty accurate, because we're all very eclectic. So
yeah, you'll go from Captain Beefheart to Scorpions like that.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I've been known to go from Miles Davis to Judas Priest. So, those things happen in my universe, and that's a little too out there for some people, but not for everybody, thankfully. So
I've gone from Lady Gaga to Ozzy Osbourne.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's because we were born this way, baby. What can I say?
Absolutely.
That's the point of the whole thing. It's really about context, and plugging things we like and things that our audience likes, and things that maybe somebody says, oh, I haven't heard that in a long time, and I'll get a DM or a text from someone. I'll go, oh, can you play this? And I'll think, oh, okay, I can build a whole set around that song. So
yeah, I've definitely sent in my share of requests.
You have, and thank you.
Yes, you have.
This too. I'm looking forward. My donation show is going to be a week from Tuesday. It'll be a week after Steve's. I still need a little more time to put it together. But
January 16th, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. January 16th.
I remember. Well, okay.
All right.
I guess we'll get into the meat and potatoes of what we're doing here today. So this board is full of Yes fans. Across the board on this whole panel, everyone's a Yes fan here, and we're all diehard Yes fans. I mean, only one of us hasn't seen Yes in any form live. Sorry, Wayne, to expose you like that, my friend, but
it's all good.
It's okay. I mean, hey, Yes is technically still playing. Go see him when you can, right?
Yeah.
They'll be back. So what we're doing today is we've got a tier list, and oops, we're ranking. So we have a whole tier list here, and each one of us is going to take turns, and whichever album that this wheel spins on for each one of us is the one that we have to rank on and put it where we feel it deserves to be on the tier list. So the tier list, S at the very top here, is God status. That's where Close to the Edge and all those will be, I'm sure. I don't think anyone's going to have a problem with that. And then it goes A, then B, then C, then D, which is heaven and earth, probably. But
We'll find out.
but we'll see, right? We'll see.
Right.
So typically what we do on these shows is, so we'll start with Wayne, then we'll go to Matt, then we'll go Lorne, then we'll go Uncle Steve, and then we'll go me, and then repeat like that. So what we will do is just take turns that way. Mm-hmm. And then, say like halfway through the show, we can use one of our turns to, like, if there's an album that's on the board where we feel it should be moved higher or lower, then we can exchange one of our turns to basically just manipulate the board a little bit with one album, move it around. So Richard, you say, can you make the wheel small until you need it? I'm so sorry, I'm not the best at this. So I can only make it disappear. I can't make it smaller. So I'm sorry about that. But Wayne,
Alrighty.
We'll start with you, and we'll spin the wheel.
Spin the wheel of digits.
Big money.
That sucker moves.
No whammies.
Oh, man. You got a good one.
90125.
Yeah, great album.
Oh, man. Where would I put that? Yeah. I think I'll probably put that in A tier.
In the A tier? Okay.
Yeah. It's a good record, like Owner of a Lonely Heart, their biggest hit they ever had. Changes is on that record as well. Just some really great 80s rock, like probably one of their last great albums for a while. And I think the John Anderson on this sounds great. Trevor Rabin was a great addition to the band, and fantastic record. Like I like it a lot, but it just outside of the S tier for me.
Yeah, I think I was listening to just some Yes today, and I was like, 90125 is so good. I think I had to bump it up to my S tier, but A tier is what you pick, and that is totally respectable. That's a good choice. We want to say hi to Kyle at All Media Reviews. Hey, Kyle, how you doing, man?
Yeah.
Kyle is a faithful subscriber of Brockway's Vinyl Bites, and the Prog Corner, and Wayne's channels too, and we love him. So thank you very much. Okay, so we got 90125 in the A tier. Matt, it's your turn now.
All right.
Ready to rock?
Go for it.
Okay.
Taking my chances here.
Okay.
Ooh,
One extreme to the other.
you're not joking.
First one.
Very first album. Yeah. I love this first album.
It is good.
It's really, really good. I'm torn between, especially thinking about where a lot of the albums go for me. I'm like torn between the A and the B tier, because I think I'm gonna go B this time. But having said that, it's got a couple of my favorite Yes tunes of all time, Beyond and Before.
Absolutely.
The Shot That Heard Around the World, the first song on the first side, and Survival, which they would later revisit over some of their live gigs here and there. Looking Around is a great song. Oh gosh, what else is there?
Sweetness.
Yeah, Sweetness.
Every Little Thing.
Harold Land.
Cover of Every Little Thing.
I
Yeah,
see.
it's solid. I like that it's still a little bit more on the psychedelic side.
Yeah, it's very mid 60s. They hadn't really found their footing yet, but they were still sounding great at this point, right?
Yeah, really, really were. I mean, and that's why I'm like, if I could put it in between A and B, I would.
Oh, and there's nothing with Bill Bruford on it that can go lower than B tier, because it just doesn't. It won't go.
I love it just for their Beatles cover of Every Little Thing.
No.
Yeah.
My dad is commenting here. He says, I never miss Tuesday nights with Steve and Matt on Deep Nuggets Radio. And neither.
Yay!
Oh, thank you.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, Dad.
Love having you guys.
Yeah. And my mom is here watching too. Hi, Mom. She
Hi,
said
Mom.
S tier 90125.
Yeah. I have a very sentimental connection to 90125. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit later. It was my first Yes record. So,
Yeah. That's an amazing album.
Yeah.
And,
Anyway.
Okay. So we got Mr. Lorne now. Mr.
Okay.
Lorne Murphy.
All right.
Ready to spin?
I am. Don't give me a bad one. Don't give me a bad one.
Good juju. Good juju.
Oh, come on.
Oh,
The Quest.
Well, sorry. I thought this one was dreadful. I hate to be that critical.
The gloves are coming off here, guys.
I really tried when it came out. I'm not a big fan of John Davison's vocals, I must say. I tried. I thought, the Ice Bridge song is actually pretty good. I like the melodies. I liked a bit of the arrangement. Then it turns out it really wasn't their writing in the first place. It was Francis Monkman who wrote it, and Jeff Downes had found an old tape and thought it was his and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
So they had to give him credit. Go right to the bottom, Cody.
Oh boy. Okay. I didn't even have it in my D tier. All right. We can put it there.
I won't put many that low or even much lower, like that area, but this one, no. It's just
I listened to it again today because it's been a while since I heard it, and I really like that song, The Ice Bridge. I was kind of like, if you took maybe half of this one and half of the new one, then you'd make a really pretty decent album, right? Like there's Leave Well Alone's on this one. It's pretty good, but it's your ranking, D tier. Sure, man.
Sorry, I have to.
That's okay. We forgive you. We're a very forgiving bunch of people,
Sorry,
and I don't have a yeah. I mean, I had it in C in my own list, so it's not far off. But remember, Yes's D tier is still better than most bands' A or S tier, right? So we got to consider that too.
It's a lot better than the Bay City Rollers.
Oh, come on.
I'm trying to be positive.
All right, Uncle Steve.
That's one of the hardest for the band like this, is that because they change so much.
Yeah.
And they, depending on when your entry point is, that also has a lot to do with it. I mean, and what type of music you lean more towards. They did a lot of different things, and it was kind of inevitable that not everything was going to appeal to everyone. That's how it goes when you've been around that long and you've had personnel changes and stylistic changes.
Sure. And I mean, if you've got 20 albums and I love 18 of them, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. That's a good point.
Yeah.
All right, Uncle Steve.
Yes.
Spinny, spin, spin.
Spin. I'm watching.
That's my new motto here. Spinny, spin, spin.
Like it. Getting dizzy.
Oh.
Ooh.
Tails. Oh my gosh.
Steve's gotten the best one so far.
I love Tails.
Mm.
I love everything about it. Even though Rick Wakeman had problems with it and the way they recorded it, I know all the stories about how they put it together, that it was snippets of tape here and there and throwing this together, throwing that together. The final product just blew me away. Tell you the truth, I'm putting it all the way up top.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would have done the same, my friend. That is one of the
all the way up top. That album just, and it's to this day, I listen to it. It's just such an amazement. Now the current lineup of Yes toured, and they took all four pieces and melded them together into one piece, which to me was mind-blowing. What they did, I'm obviously, this is Steve Howe's creation. This is Steve Howe's band, but it was magnificent. I saw it 2 times, and both times I was just floored. What they did with the entire 4 sides of Tales, put it into a 25-minute suite, and just amazing. Matt, did you see this show?
Darren and I were at the show at the Orpheum.
That's right.
Yeah, because we didn't see each other till after the show. But yeah, I actually asked afterwards. I asked John Davison. I asked him how they decided upon that arrangement, how they came up with it, and he said that it was predominantly Steve. He basically put it in Steve's credit, that he was the one that really picked most of the sections, and I guess they figured out how they were going to splice, kind of live splice them together, how they were going to musicians. And come to think of it, Steve's done a few solo guitar and vocal renditions of, he's done his own Tales medley over the years, and I'm guessing that was probably one of his jumping off points, as far as how he'd incorporate the rest of the band and everything.
I'm glad you put that at the top, because that's not only my favorite Yes album, but my favorite album of all time.
Oh wow!
Yeah, there would have been some problems with me if that wasn't in the S tier. that is a benchmark prog album.
You can get kids nowadays like to have the patience to do what I did and what you guys probably did. Sitting down with the record in front of your stereo and just exploring that album and experiencing it as the journey that it is.
Absolutely.
And with each of those 4 interlocking pieces being a unifying whole, they've all been my favorite side at one point over the years. And I wouldn't even want to guess how many times I've listened, because it would sound like an exaggeration, but however many times I've listened, I still hear new things in it now. So I'm definitely not one of those people that says that it should be edited down to a single album. I love it just the way it is. And if Rick Wakeman's opinion is not that important to me, because I don't really listen to the musician's opinion of their own work, because it doesn't, that's not the person to ask.
Right.
We're people to ask.
I was fortunate enough to see the Tales from Topographic Oceans tour.
Man, that's awesome.
Albeit on the West Coast, they dropped side 2 because they just couldn't do all 4 sides and do a proper concert. I guess it wore them out. They started the tour on the East Coast with all 4 sides, but by the time they got to the West Coast, they dropped side 2. So, but I did see the actual tour of that album. Just fantastic.
Amazing.
You guys probably know already if you collect, especially the quote unquote unofficial out there, but thankfully Boston and New York and Detroit were all recorded by its members. They've got the full show, so if you haven't checked those out, they're on YouTube. They're out there in the world, and you can hear what it sounded like in a matter of speaking back then. So that's been great.
And about Tales from Topographic Oceans, I know that a couple of you guys maybe watching this, or even on the panel here, are transatlantic fans. Now, there's some cool footage of them playing on the Cruise to the Edge, however many years ago, and they bring out John Anderson and they play all of the first side of that album.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
pretty cool. Anyway, let's go for a spin. Cool. I think it's my turn now. Yeah.
You're up.
Oh boy. Please give me one. Oh, still okay.
All right.
I thought I was going to get close to the edge for a second, but then we just got a little bit over that edge, and we got magnification. That's okay. I really like this one. This is the second Yes album to come out in my lifetime. I was born in 98, and this album came out in 2001, and I think I was actually with my dad the day we went to the CD store to get this album, and he's played it. Him and I have both played it so many times over the years. There's a lot of really great songs on this one. Now, it's not going up in S tier, but it has to go, I'd say, probably in the A tier. It's got Give Love Each Day, Spirit of Survival, Don't Go. I really like this album.
I like that album too. I thought it was quite good. And see, there's another one that Steve Howe didn't really like it, but I think Dreamtime and In the Presence Of and
it's all great stuff, right?
Were good songs. That was the tour we were talking earlier about, the Full Circle tour. I guess that was the most recent album at that time, and they did In the Presence Of, and they had with Wakeman, because he wasn't on the album, the orchestra, right?
Well, the previous when they did the orchestra, they kind of premiered In the Presence Of, and I think Don't Go. And I remember being at the Hollywood Bowl show.
Yeah, I was there.
I think Steve was there too. Very early into the symphonic tour, and they whooped out In the Presence Of, and we were just like, "Oh my god, this is gorgeous!"
Yeah, it's a great song.
Heard it before. It was brand new to everybody in the building.
Wow, nice. That's killer.
Yeah, that was great. To have, like, I had read about people who had seen Yes like 2 weeks before Relayer came out, thinking, God, what must they have thought hearing Sound Chaser for the first time and like live and not hearing the album and stuff like that. So this was the closest we were going to get to that experience.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, Steve would know what that was like, right?
He might.
Absolutely.
So we have a fellow here in the comments named Matthew J. What's up, Matthew? We got another Matt in the house.
Oh,
and he says, really, Cody, that was way cool. Transatlantic's Sympty was Neil's answer to Close to the Edge, but to have John Anderson himself singing alongside you playing, that's very sweet. Yeah, it is. And I didn't know that actually about that Transatlantic album, but it makes sense, and it makes sense why I like it so much.
They're very Yes influenced. Very.
Oh, big time. Big time. Thanks for the comment there, Matthew J. All right, so we're back up to Wayne now.
Let's see this.
Boom, spinny, spin, spin.
Oh, what do I get here?
Your favorite one. Almost, never mind.
Almost.
You almost got to open your eyes.
Time and a Word. I'll probably put this. Oh God. I'll put this probably in B tier, but probably ahead of the debut. I like this record. I like the closing track, Time and a Word. It really felt a lot like a band trying to, kind of felt like by the end of this that Peter Banks you already knew he was gone out of the band, and it just felt like these guys were in one way, he wanted to go another, but it still produced a really darn good record. Chris Squire's epic heavy bass tone on that.
Oh yeah.
Where they said that was kind of the realization where the guy wasn't looking at the monitor when he was doing it through headphones. So Chris kept cranking up his bass amp, and the final product is astounding, especially if you love bass. Great bass record.
How about the Surrealistic Astral Traveler?
Yeah.
With probably my favorite off that album.
I like The Prophet. That's an underrated one too.
They're all great.
The thing about those early albums that a lot of people miss too is Tony Kaye had such a great Hammond organ sound.
Yeah.
He was a real good rock organ player, and I think he added a lot.
He really.
I mean, he's not quite John Lord, but he's pretty good.
No, but
yeah.
Tony is extraordinarily talented. I mean,
he is.
Not too many guys could go from doing that sort of cosmic psychedelic stuff with Yes, with some rootsy stuff, and then go and tour with David Bowie, and then play with Badfinger, and and come back to Yes in the 80s. He was a very versatile guy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I remember about probably a month or so ago, Uncle Steve here played this really cool melody. Not this melody. What am I saying? This montage of songs that Tony Kaye's band had done. I think Billy Sherwood was in the project too.
It was Circa.
It was all Yes songs. Like even.
Yes. That was Circa.
Yeah.
That's a Billy Sherwood project.
It's really.
But Tony Kaye was in that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Alan White.
That's
too.
Alan White was in it. Alan White played drums.
There you go. That's the
can,
benefit of
please.
listening to Deep Nuggets Radio right there. Where else are you going to hear that, you know?
What's that, like 23 minutes long, where they do a musical journey through the Yes albums, play one song off or a portion of one song off of each album, mostly instrumental, and it was fantastic. You could always look it up on YouTube. That's actually where I pulled it from, because I don't think they actually released a recording of that. I think the only way you can see it is YouTube, unless you know otherwise, Matt.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think they ever put out an official release of the chronological journey, but it was so well put together.
Yeah.
I think Jeff Shilka in the comments here is saying that he has that on DVD, so there must be it somewhere.
Maybe there is an official DVD release then. Mm.
All right, Jeff, you need to share some details with us, my friend.
Yes, send me the link.
Yeah. Hey, if it's still available for purchase, find the link and drop it in the comments here, because
Absolutely.
Yeah, he says they did release it officially. So
good. Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's because the sound was really good on that for it to be a bootleg. That sounded really good.
Yeah, that's true.
It was a YouTube, is how I pulled it.
Maybe someone uploaded it from the DVD or something.
Awesome. Well, okay, so Wayne, that was Time and a Word, so we got that in the B tier, and then Jeff's is not an official one; it's a bootleg. Okay, so that makes sense.
Yeah. So it's probably the same thing I pulled off of YouTube.
Yeah, probably.
Most likely.
Okay, Matt, spinny, spin, spin.
Mm-hmm.
The albums aren't disappearing the way they did on the other wheel, Cody. The ones we've done are supposed to disappear, aren't they?
Yeah, we've they have been disappearing. They're gone.
Oh, okay.
Maybe close to the edge.
I got the mother load. I got the mother load here. Terrible album. Put it in the bottom. Just kidding. I've been aspirating as a fan all these years.
Off with your head.
Off with his head. Sentence you to be hanged by the neck until your tastes improve. That's going up top. No question about it. I when I got into Yes, it was, as earlier briefly touched on, it was 90125, and a few years after that I purchased Classic Yes, and I started paying more attention to the back catalog. At some point I found a used copy of Close to the Edge at a shop, and I also had a friend who would lent me some vinyl. He's like, well, you love Genesis. I was already a huge Genesis fan by that point, and he said, you got to hear some of these Yes records. So he lent me Close to the Edge and Fragile and Going for the One and the Yes album. And the first time I dropped the needle on Close to the Edge, my head kind of went, what the hell am I hearing here? Like, I was probably 15 or 16 and I couldn't process it. But I loved the middle section, of I Get Up, I Get Down, and I loved NUI. And it didn't take very long for the rest of it to grow on me. And it became an obsession for a good long while. As a matter of fact, that and the Live Yes Songs record were probably the two biggest things that really pushed me into what you might call super fandom at that time in my life. And that record's absolutely perfect. There's no notes wasted on it. And those songs are an absolute joy to learn and a joy to play. And I heard the title track spun up on my shuffle a couple days ago, and it still sounds fresh to me after all these years.
It's magnificent.
Yeah, and Siberian Catrue, all three songs, they're classics, and deservedly so. No wonder they've earned like a permanent place in the live show and
quintessential prog album.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, it's up there with Tales from Topographic Oceans, right? I mean, not just on our list, but in general. And if you've been a follower of Brockway's Vinyl Bites for some time, about a couple days ago, I actually posted a drum cover of Close to the Edge. So if you haven't seen that yet, when you're done watching here, go check that out. All right. So we've done Matt, obviously. We've got Close to the Edge up in the S tier. And now it's Lorne's turn.
All right. Something better than last time, please.
Fingers crossed for you, man.
Not much. Okay.
Onion.
Well,
Onion.
I actually have really fond memories of this period
Me too.
because I was 18 when Union and this.
Up in S here, right?
Oh, Yes Years. Yeah, the box.
Oh, yes, you. Yeah,
Yes
great.
Years and Union and the Yes Years video all sort of came out around the same time. It was that same year. And as an 18-year-old fan, it was pretty exciting, you know, that these guys had all gotten together to do this huge tour. And I didn't know anything about the nonsense that went on behind the scenes, you know, with the making of the album and all the problems they had. And some guys aren't on it and they were replaced with session musicians and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
There's still some good songs. I mean, certainly The More We Live is a great song. Lift Me Up is a pretty good song. I've always liked Trevor Rabin, actually. I'm a big classic Yes guy, but I think that the years that Trevor Rabin was there, he was probably the best thing about the band.
He's amazing, man. His new record is top notch too, I gotta say.
So, you know, Union, it's got some awful tracks on it too. It's got Dangerous. I mean, there's a song called Dangerous, and then in brackets, look in the light of what you're searching for. Whatever the hell that means. But you know, it's got Shock to the System. It's got I Would Have Waited Forever. These are good songs. They're not huge, amazing Yes songs, but they're good. So I don't hate this album.
So where should we put it for you today, Lorne?
Well, the problem is I don't think it's nearly as good as those two that are in the B tier.
Yeah.
I have to say C.
Okay.
It's not too bad. I don't think too many people should complain about that.
It's worth it for me just for Lift Me Up. That song to me is one of the best songs. You know, it's awesome. That's a great tune.
I like Miracle Life. I would have liked for them to have done that live, but obviously that wasn't meant to be. But yeah.
I always considered it outside of a few tracks, ABWH2.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the songs sound like they should have been on the ABWH album.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, there's bootlegs out there of what the second ABWH album was likely going to be before it became, and a lot of those songs are on that. So
the tour was great.
Yeah.
They did it in the round.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed seeing them do that live. I know they all had a lot of fun playing together. You know, I just know there was a lot of downplay on the production of the album itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did seem to enjoy the tour a lot from what everybody says, although Steve Howe has a few complaints in his book, if you've read his book, about Trevor Rabin, but
yeah.
You know how they say Rick Wakeman's a grumpy old man?
He called Rick Wakeman in that book, Rick can't take a joke Wakeman.
What?
That's what he calls him. He's telling a story about when they were Going for the One, and he went and they went and substituted all the tapes in Rick's Mellotron for like Frank Zappa albums. He was in the bathroom. When he came back from the bathroom, they went to do Awaken or whatever it was, and he goes to hit the Mellotron chords, and it's, you know, titties and beer or whatever the songs were. And Wakeman was pissed, and Steve Howe and the rest of the guys were all laughing about it. So he's telling that story, and then he calls him make a joke.
Oh wow!
Well, that's pretty funny, I gotta say.
Yeah, I've always looked at Union as just a concept. Even as a concept, it just doesn't work. Like 8 musicians trying to combine stuff together, egos, politics.
Yeah.
Hard
enough with 5.
Yeah.
All right, so Lorne, that was you. Now we got Uncle Steve.
Yes,
Spinny,
sir.
spin, spin. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
Okay, spinny, spin, spin. Everybody's favorite album.
Ooh.
Oh, that's good.
The Tormata?
Tomato.
Yes.
Tomato, yeah. All right, where do you want to put it, my friend?
A strange album. I love it.
Yeah,
It's
me
got
too.
great stuff on it. I don't know if you'd all agree with me, but I'm going to put it right there next to Magnification.
No, that's where I would have put it too, man.
Yeah,
That's an excellent album.
Yeah, it was, to me, it was outstanding.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Silent Wings of Freedom is a classic.
Absolutely.
I mean, the only song that people actively don't really like much on this is, like, from what I've seen, is typically Circus of Heaven.
Yeah.
That's the one that, you know, like when you watch Sea of Tranquility, that's the one that they all bag on, right?
Yeah.
It's
And
like,
I like that song.
yeah, me too. I like the whole thing. Release. It's excellent.
Yeah.
Future.
I kind of call it the circus album because, and especially with Wakeman's keyboards, that it sounded calliope type music,
Mhm.
but done Yes style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And interesting, the tour. Oh my God. If anybody's ever heard the big medley from the Tornado tour,
Yeah.
you know, and that's out there.
Yeah.
It's
Right on.
yeah.
We got that in the A tier.
Cool. There's two real quick comments about the whole Tormato situation.
Sure.
First of all, I thought it's such a peculiar record in that it sounds to me a lot like, because they were producing themselves. Maybe this is why, or maybe this is just a byproduct of them producing themselves. A lot of times it sounds like Rick and Steve in particular are kind of fighting for space.
Definitely.
Like almost like they're competing against each other rather than being more integrated. And I kind of wonder what it would have been like if that had not been the case. At least that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, there's a lot of notes.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
You know, which is cool. It has its place, you know. And the other thing which relates to the tour is apparently there's a gentleman who is actively working with Warner and Rhino to get an official release of the Wembley 78 show. So keep our fingers crossed.
Cool.
Maybe that's going to finally happen.
Awesome. I can't wait for that.
Yeah. Yeah. In case y'all didn't know that, that would be really exciting.
Thanks
Yeah,
for
my
that.
favorite off that album has to be Onward
Oh, Onward.
Oh, beautiful song.
Yeah.
by Chris Squire, man. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And you know, Future Times, Don't Kill the Whale. That's a release on the Silent Wings of Freedom. That's a great record.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go spinny spin spin now.
No clowns.
Your time. No clown.
No clowns. I better get out of here. All right, I get ABWH.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
Okay,
Another
a
interesting.
good album. I mean, I know it's not really technically Yes, right? But it's a good album. You got Bill Bruford kind of in his Neil Peart electronic drum phase here. And like I said, there's nothing of Bill Bruford that can go lower than the B tier. It's got to go here. There's some really great songs on this. There's a song called Quartet, and there's a song called The Meeting, and of course, you know, Brother of Mine and Birthright.
Yeah.
That's a good album. That's a really good album. So B tier for me, it's got to be. I mean, I know there's no Chris Squire on it, but it deserves its right to be here. It's a good album. Its birthright is to be here on this list.
I think that's about B. Yeah.
Yes, fair. I'd almost pump it up to the A level if Vultures in the City had been included.
Yeah.
That's a killer track, and it was a B-side.
Did you see that thing I sent earlier, Cody? It was an old, if anyone's old enough to remember, well, I know some of you are, Notes from the Edge, the old mailing list.
I remember.
I found a post I made there in 1992 when I was 19. And
I actually saw that post on Facebook.
Yeah, that was me, and I was
You put it up a couple hours ago, right?
Yeah.
I saw that too.
I was asking about Vultures in the City because I didn't know at the time what that was, and you know, here I am, 32 years later, still talking about these things on the internet. I don't know what Vultures in the City is.
You're in good company.
Notes from the Edge, Mike Tiano.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
We cut Mike Tiano. That's right.
Notes from the Edge and Paper Late and the National Midnight Star and Elephant Talk.
On Reflection. Yeah, there were all those.
Yeah.
Bands
Paper Late. I wonder what one that band was for.
Again, Bay City Rollers.
Yeah, that's one of their least best songs, if you ask me. That's a story for another time, though. We got Wayne. Wayne for round. I guess this is round 3 now. I've been keeping notes.
That's some.
I always lose track of where we are, right? So I'm like, this time I'm going to keep notes. I always get to the end. I'm like, was that it? We're done? No. Wayne, it's your turn.
All right.
Perfect.
Spinny, spin.
The albums on the wheel are getting bigger.
Yeah. Oh,
you get Mirror to the Sky.
Oh, the new one.
Mirror to the Sky.
The new one.
I actually don't hate this record. I think there is some really good moments on it. The title track, Luminosity. I like that song. There's, like I said, just really good moments. This is, to me, kind of feels a lot like The Ladder in the late 90s, where it kind of felt like Yes and a whole nother they felt re-energized. And so if I had to pick a place to put this, I would probably say B tier.
B tier? Okay.
Yeah. I know there is people out there that really hate this record, but I'm like, you know what? It's probably the best thing they've done since Magnification. Album-wise.
Right.
So
Get on board with that.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I think if they took a chunk of this one and a chunk of The Quest and put it out as one album, that would be like one of the best albums that they've done, in a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know what? It's definitely grown on me. I've heard Uncle Steve play it, and I've heard Matt play it, and various other DJs on Deep Nuggets Radio, and so I've been listening to it on my own and through them, and so it's definitely it's been growing on me too. I mean, I still don't love it, but it's
the best one that they've done of the last 3.
Me too.
I think that the writing has improved a lot. I think that the title track, the Epic, has got a cinematic quality that's very cool. Cut from the Stars has Billy Sherwood does a great job of nailing that Yes vibe.
Yeah.
I think that they could show a little more support for it, and rather than playing 5 minutes of it on their tour.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Totally agree with you.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as it was so great to hear the Tales medley, and I love the fact that, I mean, they're in an enviable position of having to put together an hour and 45-minute show with all this material. What do you choose?
Right.
I would have loved to have heard a couple more songs from this as well.
I always want to hear a band's new stuff personally, but
I think it gets stronger when they play it on stage, and that's been something that's been missing from Yes for a long time. Like, they'll play like 1 or 2 songs from the new record, and then you never hear them again. And I don't know. To me, I get it. They're people are there to hear the old stuff, but songs, especially speaking as a musician, songs get stronger as you work them out in a live setting.
Absolutely.
It just happens. It's a natural process, and these songs are not getting the opportunity to have that.
No.
Yeah, it's a pretty good album. Like, it's of the last 3, that's absolutely correct. It is the best of the last 3. And I really like John Davison. I don't have any issues with him being their singer. I love Billy Sherwood. It just, I don't know, there's just a different sound to their newest ones, but this one, it's definitely like they're more on the path to finding their feet as the new Yes, right? I mean, it's not going to be Close to the Edge again, but they're definitely on the right path to finding the new sound of the new era of Yes, if that makes any sense.
I think it makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
And Circles of Time is a really good song.
I think it's the first song on the second disc, Unknown Place. I like that one a lot. It's a really good driving record.
Yeah.
Like, if you're gonna have like an hour to be on the road, it's actually it sounds real good when you're speeding down the road.
They get it with these opening tracks too. Like the opening track on this is really good, and same with the one on the Quest, the Ice Bridge. I know Lauren was mentioning about that, but I really like that track. I think Matt, I actually sent that to you earlier in our chat.
Yeah.
That's a really good tune, right?
It is a good. I like the end of it, particularly like the instrumental thing that happens at the end. I like that a lot.
Yeah. So, with Yes, I mean, sometimes these things just kind of grow on you after a certain amount of time, right? And it takes, repeated listens to fully get it. And so this album is pretty decent, Mirror to the Sky. So, I mean, I think.
And I'll even add in there, like I've said this to Yes fans before, even if Yes made Close to the Edge an album on that quality again, fans would still find stuff about it to rip it apart.
Absolutely.
Oh,
I'm not one of those fans.
No.
I would find things that I liked about it, That's like I'm doing here. Like I'm not saying nothing bad, like I'm pulling out the goods,
Yeah.
And you guys played the title track on Deep Nuggets about a week or so ago, and I was really, like, me and my dad were listening to it together. We were sitting together, and I was like, this is quite good. Like, this is really good. So, yeah, B tier it is, man. And it's only going to get better with each listen from here, right?
Chances are high of that, yes.
So, Mr. Brown, not Browning yet, but Mr. Brown.
Yo.
It's your turn.
Okay, what do we got here? Time to spin the roulette wheel.
Spinny, spin, spin. Boom.
Ooh. Wow. This brings up I have a lot of memories associated with this period.
Yep.
Open Your Eyes, 1997.
Yeah.
Yep. This was an album that grew on me quite a bit. When it initially was released, I really, really loved the first 3 songs. But the rest of it was very, very hit and miss.
Yeah.
But I found that over time, some of the other tunes have definitely grown on me. I really like The Solution quite a bit. And I think Fortune Seller has some cool things.
Yeah.
And I'm probably, I know I'm in the minority here, but I dig Wonder Love, actually.
Mm-hmm.
About that tune that I it goes through a few different things, like the acoustic intro, and there's moments of it, like Billy was doing this really cool thing during that era, in particular production wise, where it didn't sound psychedelic, but it kind of swirled a bit. I don't know, and I'm probably using terrible language to explain what I'm trying to say, but I don't know, something about the way he was producing back then. I like what it did, especially between all the guitars and what keyboards there were. The funny thing about this album, though, was that it came out in the shadow of the Keys to Ascension stuff, and
it came out 1 month later.
Yeah, and those were on 2 different record companies, and I think it confused a lot of people. Like, okay, Keys 2 comes out with Mind Drive and Footprints and stuff, and it's this more long form thing, and then Open Your Eyes drops, and it's like, okay, wait, which version of the band are we dealing with here?
Exactly.
It was kind of schizophrenic, and I think that may have hurt in a way.
Yeah.
Unless you were, incredibly open-minded, or just, dug all the different flavors of Yes ice cream. It was kind of weird. But over time,
I'm in the ice cream camp.
Yeah, me too. Typically, yeah.
Yeah, it's an album that is frequently, kind of trod upon, and I get why. There's not much Steve on it. There's not even that much John on it, really. It was a Billy Sherwood, Chris Squire thing for the most part.
Yeah,
that's okay, right? That's not too bad.
Okay. But because of that, it's such a unique, weird album in their catalog. It's kind of hard to place. I'd probably have to put it. It's hard to say. I'd probably have to put it in the C tier as well.
Okay, right on.
It is weird when you have to try and picture if it was another band who suddenly had a completely different component of the band offering their version.
Yeah.
Well, picture another band doing that. You'd be like, whoa, what? Like, these 2 guys are writing all the music now, like on this album? It's a pretty strange thing to do. And when it, like you said, when it came out 1 month after Keys to Ascension 2, it was like, first of all, there's 2 Yes albums out already, and secondly, they're completely different.
Yeah.
But some people like one or the other, so it's, it's not bad, it's just different.
Yeah. I mean, ideologically, maybe Lorne, for people like me and you in particular, because we, were teenagers in the 80s and into the early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
It's good chance that people like me and you, because of our age, might have a different take on the whole Yes thing than people who first heard them in 72, or people who heard them for the first time in the 90s.
Definitely. And it's that way with other bands like Rush and Genesis and everyone else.
So, yeah, exactly.
I really like it, some of the songs on Invisible Touch, and the older guys are like, nope.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. Yeah, exactly. Sometimes your entry point and where you are when you get into a band has a lot to. It ends up inevitably coloring the way you look at the rest of their catalog, especially a lot of changes. It's inevitable.
Look at Steve's cat. Oh my gosh.
This is Oliver.
Is that Oliver?
Yeah.
It can't be Oliver. I only see his head.
He's watching me.
Sorry, that was a horrible joke.
Oliver's a very cool cat. I've met Oliver. He's very cool.
He's adorable. All right, so we got a new member. We got Steve's cat happening here. Hi, Oliver.
Does Oliver get to spin, or because that's not fair?
No, Oliver won't be spinning tonight.
Okay.
I should mention that Oliver's favorite song is "Lucifer Sound" by Pink Floyd.
Oh, there we go. Okay,
awesome song.
He has very good taste.
we should do a Pink Floyd ranking sometime. We should get together and do a Pink Floyd one.
Definitely,
that would be fun.
It would be. I was thinking Jethro Tull or Queen for maybe the next one, but hey, Pink Floyd, they exist. I forgot about. Awesome.
All three of them.
So, Lorne,
yes,
spin.
All right. What do we got left here? Okay.
There's some good stuff still left.
There is.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, what can I say? Really, it's, to me, South Side of the Sky is one of their absolute ultimate songs.
Yeah,
I love those guitar riffs, or they're not even riffs. I mean, what are they? The guitar lines, that Steve Howe is playing in between the vocals.
Yeah.
I love
little. That's the best.
Yeah, for sure. And the middle section, the sort of Crosby, Stills and Nash thing they sort of that they do there.
Yeah, that vocal thing.
Yeah. It's just a great track. I loved seeing that live. They added it. That was when they brought back that song as well as We Have Heaven to preface it. Roundabout, like we're talking about bootlegs earlier, I've heard 140 versions of it over the years.
I think I have 140 versions of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great track. I'm a bit sick. It's a bit Stairway to Heaven syndrome now for me, but I can't deny how great it is. Heart of the Sunrise. I love Long Distance Runaround. I love that slow acoustic version they used to do of Long Distance Runaround around.
Oh yeah.
Around Relayer or the solo albums tour.
That was cool.
That was really nice. The Fish, Mood for a Day. I mean, the only real dud there for me is Cans and Brahms. And it's kind of a strange album the way it's set up with all these little solo snippet pieces in between the bigger ones, but it's a pretty cool little journey in itself. So I have to put that in S.
I figured that.
Yeah.
Good pick. Good pick.
It's
choice.
So we're on to Uncle Steve now. Are you ready, Uncle Steve?
Absolutely.
You ready for the spinny spin?
Let's do it.
Wheel of Fortune.
Got a lot of great albums there.
Yeah, I know. Oh, there you go.
Oh.
Everyone is envious of you right now.
Yeah.
Going for the one.
Steve,
before we talk about the album,
Steve,
that probably has to be my favorite tour And I know before we went on air, Matt was talking about the pictures that I took, and those were from the Going for the One tour. Are the pictures that I have that I had taken of Yes. I have pictures that show the hairs on Steve Howe's arm sticking up. That's how clear these pictures were.
They are incredible.
Anyways, the Going for the One tour was like I said, my favorite tour I've ever seen. Yes, they were so happy. Chris Squire walking out with his triple neck bass, grinning from ear to ear, because everybody was so happy. They had just brought Rick back into the fold, and nothing against Patrick, but I'm going to take that album, and I'm putting it on top.
Definitely.
Harvey Rogan had the 8-track of Going for the One. That's pretty cool. So we're
Turn of the Century is one of my all-time favorite Yes songs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This whole album is beautiful.
Awaken
is I mean, incredible.
Yeah.
I gotta give a cool little story here. So one night back in about 4 years ago, I was actually watching a Yes DVD one night, and the Yes DVD ended, and I went on Facebook and I saw this cool guy playing. It was just a live stream of this cool guy playing a piano. And I clicked on, and he was playing a bunch of cool songs. He's playing Beatles songs, Pink Floyd songs. And I said, hey, you should play Awaken by Yes. And he rips the entire intro pretty much note for note.
Wow.
And that guy is the guy with his face in his palm right here. That's Matt Brown. Matt Brown. I'm telling you, that guy knows what's up. He knows his way around a keyboard. He just ripped that Rick Wakeman intro. He's like, I don't know if I can do it. Then he just goes, well,
Matt, you were in a Yes tribute band at one time.
I was in a couple of them. Yeah. Actually, this is a good window for a very, very quick anecdote. During COVID, I was doing live streams because all of us live musicians were losing our minds, not being able to play for people. And I just turned the camera on one night and said, I need to practice. Maybe this is self-indulgent, but what the hell? Let's see what happens. And if people dig it, maybe I'll do it again. And it became a thing during the spring and fall of 2020. And it kind of saved part of my sanity while we were all
awesome.
Yeah.
But
it's great.
Thank you. As Steve was alluding to, I've been in a couple of different Yes tribute bands over the years. The last one I was in had John Davison in it.
Yes.
It was a band called Roundabout, and they were based in Southern California. And the reason why Roundabout ceased to play was because certain Mr. Squire called John and invited him in the band, and we never were able to replace him.
well, you got to actually. Okay, this is a cool story actually for the people in the comments. Matt actually got to share a stage with Chris Squire and Taylor Hawkins in the same band.
Absolutely.
That is really cool.
What happened. It was so surreal and just an incredible experience. Chris was being honored for a Bass Player Magazine Lifetime Achievement Award, and at the time when Bass Player Magazine did that stuff, all the honorees were asked to come and play a set. And so Chris had to put a band together, and because I'd played with Billy and John and a couple other people that were kind of in the periphery, I ended up getting a call to be one of the people involved. And it was fantastic. To this day, I'll never forget it. Just, wow.
Matt, brother, you are talented beyond words.
Well,
I mean,
I appreciate that.
Well, no, I mean, your records, with 10 Gin and Amuzeum, which, by the way, those are for sale. You can buy the CDs in the description you can get the links in the description here in the video here. But Matt's awesome, and obviously a killer guy, but great musician too. So we're lucky to have you around, my friend.
Well, thank you. Yeah, God, I mean, Awaken is It's the ultimate in a lot of ways. That's such
Yeah.
an
Oh yeah.
incredible piece of music, and for so.
It is. I often, because I said Tales is my favorite album, but I often say Awaken is my favorite.
Yeah.
composition.
I mean,
I know it's one of Matt's favorite songs because on his radio show, about every 3 or 4 months, he plays Awaken. And generally, the DJs at the station usually don't play a song more than once a year.
We try not to.
But and I do the same thing. I play Awaken quite a bit. And between Matt and I think you can hear some version of Awaken at least 6 to 10 times a year.
Yeah. We try to play version too, so that it mix it up. I'm the same way with Close to the Edge. Sometimes I'll find a version of it that I haven't heard in a while, or either a bootleg version or one of the progeny versions or whatever. There's, there's not as many versions of it as Roundabout out there, obviously, but there's a lot. So sometimes it's like, hey, dig this version. This is a little bit different.
Oh, there you go. There you go. That's the ultimate buster right there.
Yes. Yeah. There you go.
You guys, and Jeff Shilka is going to appreciate this because he's always shouting out this song. But you guys on Deep Nuggets, and I think the bots play it a lot too. You guys, there's a live version that you guys play of Endless Dream a lot on the station. I hear it a lot on there, and that's an awesome song. But I guess we'll save that for the wheel to talk more about that one. I guess it's my turn to spinny spin spin.
Do it.
All right. Boom.
Boom.
Okay. Now, here's the thing. I'm not very familiar with Key Studio, so I can't faithfully give this a proper opinion because I don't have enough experience with it to give it a proper opinion. So I'm going to go ahead and respin this wheel.
Just a heads up, it's fantastic.
That's what I'm going to say if I get Heaven and Earth.
Fine. Okay. Yeah, that's what it. Okay, here we are.
Oh, blind! You got Relayer.
Oh my God!
And I know that Key Studio is good because I've definitely heard the songs before, but it's not like I've heard Relayer. So Relayer, I can absolutely give you 100% unequivocal. This is going up in the S tier. There's no question about it. This is some of the best drumming that I think I've ever heard laid down on a record. This is Alan White's second album with Yes. I mean, not including the live album. He's absolutely incredible. And this album is just awesome. And this is the only album with Patrick Moraz on keyboards. And my dad says my fave. Yeah, there we go. Maybe that's how I know it so well. But it's just an awesome album. And the end of the Gates of Delirium, after the battle and on that fun stuff, when they come out with that beautiful soaring guitar from Steve Howe and the vocal of John Anderson, soon the light, it never fails to get every hair on my torso standing up. It just, I don't know. I guess you guys have that too, where you get chills.
It brings tears to my eyes.
That's a beautiful song.
I love that song.
That's the lap steel and brilliant.
Yeah.
It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. And the live version too that they have on Yes shows is also really great too because you don't have the battle noises; you just hear the band.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's no complaints about Relayer at all. But the battle noises are very loud in the mix. It's no complaint because it doesn't take away anything from the final product. I'm just throwing it out there.
It was the 70s.
Yeah. Anything goes. Because it's 70s, right?
Well, opening
sound chaser and stuff too.
Yeah. And now we'll get to side two. So Sound Chaser and To Be Over are absolutely amazing. I've never heard the cha 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 done as good as the way Yes have done the cha cha on that. Cha 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 cha. Crazy keyboard solo for like 20 seconds and then more cha 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 cha. Oh, just awesome. It's totally epic. Me and my dad love this one so much. I actually got a frame of the Relayer artwork. No Yes logo or anything on it, just the actual Roger Dean artwork. And I got it framed for him about 10 years ago. And I think he's still got it up in his apartment. But yeah. Awesome. So anyway, Relayer by Yes. Supreme. Yeah. Yeah, you knew it. You knew that was going to be that.
Word.
So, Wayne, kick us off.
Oh, let's see. Which one's this one going to be?
At least you don't have to worry about open your eyes anymore.
Yeah.
That's true.
Oh,
Talk.
Yeah, this one's funny for me. It's very it has a very distinct 90s sound to it, especially that mid right around 94 95 era of music. And I'm listening to it like I think a few weeks ago. Endless Dream, the big epic on it. I like it. I'm not sure if I'm in love with it, but I do like it. There's parts to it, like I always like Yes with John Anderson and just a normal piano. And I know you get sections on that album with it. But yeah, where to put this album? For me, it's C tier.
C tier. Okay, all right. Yeah,
Really? Okay.
yeah. They can't all be zingers, as Primus would say.
No, it's I find with Talk, it's either an album you really like it or you don't. And I think there's moments on there of brilliance, but not enough to, as much as I like the other albums.
So sorry, but I have to totally disagree.
Well, that's okay.
You said either you like it or you don't. I love that album.
Yeah, I like it too.
I think it's the best one that they did with Raven. Personally,
Yeah,
I like it better than 125 myself. But
well, you're wrong. Just kidding.
I know.
I'm just kidding.
we can sit here and argue all night long.
Well,
I'm so used to Scott telling me I'm wrong. So
we're not going to do that to you.
I thought my wife was here for a minute.
Yeah, that's an A tier record for me too, but I can appreciate how it wouldn't necessarily appeal to everyone because it also has kind of a more cold kind of digital type of a sound to it. I mean, it's super powerful, but it doesn't have the same kind of warmth that a lot of the other Yes records have.
well, I need to remind you guys that we can exchange one of our turns to move albums on the board.
All right.
So
That's good to know.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. I mentioned it earlier, but I just wanted to remind you because the Talk album, you can choose your turn to change the position if you want, or you can take another spin. But Matt, it's your turn. What do you want to do? Do you want to change or do you want to spin?
I want to spin at least one more time. I may opt to do a switcheroo later, but let's spin for now.
Okay. Man, good.
Ooh.
Good album.
I wondered if I would possibly get this one. Okay, Drama.
Don't let my commentary jade your positioning on the board here. I just really like this one.
I don't think that would be possible anyway, even if you tried, because there are songs on every single record that I dig. And
yeah.
Really, my rankings often end up having to do with how many songs, what percentage of the album really gets me, that's not a hard and fast rule, but it's close. Because of my entry point into the whole Yes thing.
The Buggles album.
Yeah, actually, the Buggles and Asia were the first two things I heard from either Steve Howe or Trevor Horn or Jeff Downs. And so sometime when I finally did hear Drama, I actually heard, well, this actually seems like a very logical move from like Tormato to Asia.
Yeah.
Even though they're not the same, obviously. They have some different personnel and maybe different thoughts in terms of their writing process. but there was some level of link there. I'm actually going to put, this is another one of those that's like half A, half B for me, but I'm going to put it in the A count for Machine Messiah and Tempest Fugit and Does It Really Happen in particular. It's got such an incredibly muscular sound. I mean, it's one of the best Squire White rhythm section on wax, without question. And
it's one of their heaviest albums.
Yeah, and I love Machine Messiah. First time I heard that, I was like, whoa, you know.
There's a really killer bonus track on one of the remastered CDs of an instrumental version of the song that they did called Go Through This. They used to play on the tour back when they were doing Fly From Here as well.
Yeah.
The song, I think they call it Have We Really Got to Go Through This? Big long title.
Yeah.
But it's just the trio. It's before Jeff Downes and Trevor Horn joined them.
Mm-hmm.
It's just how Squire and White ripping through this energetic instrumental. It sounds amazing. How does these what do you call it, harmonics, and it just sounds so cool. People should check that out if you've never heard it and you like that.
That's a good plug.
Yeah.
That's like, I think actually the you know, Steve Howe, obviously his style has changed and evolved and incorporated a lot of different influences over the years. But in some ways, I kind of feel like this was like his last hurrah of like, I am a rock guy. You know, I mean, you heard it on the first Asia record, but this is just like total. I mean, he's got the light and shade thing going on, but there's so much power there. You know, dexterity on fire, and so yeah, it's hard to deny that.
Matt, what you just said is my exact problems with all of the last probably 4 Yes albums. Is the fact that he, you know, like Drama is borderline progressive metal. I mean, in spots.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. I can see what you're saying.
In spots. I mean, obviously, White Car is not exactly a metal song, but it's, you know, I mean, but there was a lot of heaviness to this album. I mean, a lot of it's attributed to Chris, right? That bass is chunking along. But yeah, I love
one of the highlights of the last tour. I thought they killed it last tour.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, I mean, you guys were lucky that thing didn't come to Canada, at least not where I'm in Canada. But the last time I saw them, they did. It was in 2019, and they were awesome. They had Jay Shellen and Alan White, R.I.P. Alan White, I should say. And they had Tempest Fugit in the set list, and it was excellent. They were really, really good that night. I love the band. Anyway, so we got Drama up in the A tier. Is that correct, Matt?
Correctamundo.
Correctamundo. All right, Lorne, it's time for your spinny spin spin.
Okay.
By the hair of your chinny chin chin. There we go. Man, why do y'all keep getting the good ones?
Yes album.
This is in my top 3 of their albums, with Tails and Going for the One.
Great.
For me, you might as well just put it right on S right now, Cody, for sure. This was the one that got me into the band. I borrowed this from a friend, and I had only heard I've Seen All Good People before, and but something about this album intrigued me. The weird cover, it's a song called Starship Trooper, and it was in sections, and one of them was called Worm with 2 dots over the U, and I was like, what is this? This is, it was very appealing, very intriguing. And when I heard it, I heard Yours Is No Disgrace and Perpetual Change and Starship Trooper, and like, just amazing. I'm still floored by this album.
This was my introduction also to Yes.
Yeah,
was with this album, and it knocked me out. And then, of course, subsequently, when Fragile came out, then I was totally in love with the band.
This was a lot of people's introduction to Yes, and especially because Uncle Steve, of course, my dad is closer to your age, and he said that he was in a band at the time, and they were at, I think, the guitar player's house out in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and they had a little crappy little radio on, and all of a sudden this beautiful vocal comes on. I've seen all good people turn their heads. I'm not going to sing because I suck, but that comes out of the radio, and my dad was like, I fell in love with this band right at that very moment I heard that vocal come out of the radio. And,
For me, it was Starship Trooper especially, and I know I'm in the minority here, but I still to this day think the studio version is way better than every live version I've ever heard. Now I know that song lends itself to stretching out in a big jam sort of environment, and it's a big crowd pleaser, and it's a big encore and stuff, and that's fine. But I've never liked the way Steve Howe changes the way he strums those chords when it first starts.
Oh, interesting.
Really?
He changes it and it starts. I almost swore. Sorry. He starts mucking around with the rhythm.
That's okay. You say you express yourself how you like.
Sure.
Okay.
With the rhythm of the chords, and he starts doing it all differently, and then it goes in, and then Wakeman does the solo first on the keyboards, and that's not right. It should be the guitar. The whole thing to me is about this claustrophobic sound of outer space building up slowly crescendoing until you hit this explosion of guitar on the two channels. And it's never sounded better to me than on that studio version. Now I know most people won't agree because the live ones are quite spectacular in their own right, but to me Starship Trooper is one of the signature Yes songs. So
Yeah.
Top three songs for me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
At least, like that bass into just waiting, that build from Chris Squire, waiting for him and then for Steve Howe to play his solo at the end. That's like pretty much as close to probably Euphoria as you can get.
Yeah,
it's
Just
spectacular.
the anticipation for that.
Yeah, the big difference for me, because I love both versions, but for completely different reasons. And the studio version is trance-like. I know I keep bringing this word up, but it's kind of the last bit of the vestiges of psychedelia in Yes music. When you really whole claustrophobic, like, whoa, oh my God, where are we going? What the hell's happening? And they build to that almost fever pitch, and then Howe comes in with a solo, and they're climbing and climbing.
Yeah.
That's a pretty I can't speak from experience on this, but it's, to me, that feels like a very acid trippy kind of a moment. Like you're moving through this thing. Obviously when they did it live, they opted to take it in a different direction. So,
Right.
but yeah.
So we got the Yes album up in the S tier, right, Lorne?
for sure.
Cool. Okay, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Right on.
All right, so Uncle Steve, are you ready?
I am ready.
Are you ready for number 4?
Absolutely.
All right, what do you got? Damn it, you got all my favorite ones. Oh, and yeah.
Oh,
The ladder. Oh, so many memories.
All right, where do you want it on the list, my friend?
I love the ladder. I did get the ladder, right?
Yeah.
Okay. My screen is so small right there.
Right in the A section?
Nope.
B.
We're going to put it there, but I wish there was another section between the two.
So we're gonna drop it in B, right?
I really enjoyed the ladder because it was, to me, the music was fresh, and a lot of it has to do with my experiences of seeing each tour of these albums, and of course, this was a tour when I was officially introduced to my little brother Matt Brown.
Oh yeah, there we go.
I'm going to share a little story with you, and Matt knows the story because it's his story too. Matt was married to his wife Anastasia at the time, and were you guys married at that time, or still dating? You were married. Okay.
No, we've been married about a year and a half by that point.
the House of Blues obviously has no seating or anything. It's just a big cavern where everybody stands. And in order to get yourself up close to the stage, you have to be there 4 or 5 hours early. And of course, so us diehard Yes fans are all gathered out front early. And this is how I got to meet Matt and his wife Anastasia, and got to hang out with all these other cool Yes fans. And when we finally went in to see the show, we were right up front, and Matt and Anastasia were standing next to me. I think we were one away from the stage. There was a couple of late girls in front of us, and we were right behind them. And all of a sudden, I get a tap on my shoulder, and it's Matt's wife, Anastasia. And she says, "Some guy's groping me."
Oh my God, I remember this.
And I said, "What?" And she goes, "Yeah, this guy behind me is groping me." And I look, and then a tall guy, maybe about 6'3", 6'4", standing behind her,
About my height.
with a I know this is internet, so I'm going to say it, a shit-eating grin.
Yeah,
on his
and kind of
face.
his look on his face. He was definitely on something.
Yeah, and so I turned around and gave him the evilest look I could at him, and then turned back around and hoping that things would be okay. A few seconds later, I get another tap, and it's Matt. And Matt says, "The guy's grabbing me now." So, that's serious. This happened. Matt can attest to it.
Vouch, yes.
And so I looked off to the side of the stage to see if I could see any security, which I managed to see and wave and flag down to get security to come over and remove this fellow.
Yeah.
So security did come down. I told them we all three told them what was going on, and they took the guy and escorted him out of the place.
They yanked him.
They pulled him out. But Yes, here in LA played 4 nights in a row at the House of Blues, and I managed to go to all 4 shows.
Awesome.
and got to go backstage for 3 of the 4 shows. And their backstage is actually upstairs. I got to meet the owner of the House of Blues. Does anybody know who the owner was at the time?
Was it Dan Aykroyd?
Absolutely.
You met Dan Aykroyd.
I got to meet Dan. I was walking down the stairs after the after show festivities, and Dan was walking up the stairs, and got to chat with him for a few seconds.
Oh, cool.
And so, like I said, each album, the memories of the tour, the memories of the fans that I met, have a lot to do with how I like the albums, but there's so many great albums. I have to place it where it's at there. So I digress. I give it back to you.
I thought for a second when you told that story about the groping, I thought you were going to say it was Igor Koroshev that did it.
Well, he was on stage playing.
Oh,
Yeah, I think for the latter, Bruce Fairbairn, the producer, deserves a lot of credit for this album, and sadly passed away mixing it, and this was the last thing he gave us, and he's the guy that finally forced Yes back in the studio together.
Yep.
And to get John Anderson to write at least coherent lyrics.
and they,
Yeah, I know that's a shame about Bruce Fairbairn, and he passed away. He was probably listening to the last Bon Jovi record that he did.
One thing I'll say about Igor, as a keyboard, and Yes, he was great.
Oh yeah,
Live, he was fantastic. I'm just so sorry to hear what had happened.
Yeah.
Had he had stayed in Yes, he might have been their permanent keyboard player from that day forward.
Yeah.
Because he was a masterful keyboard player, and
Yeah.
everybody that saw him perform live were just amazed by what he was able to do.
If I remember correctly, he and John were working on something together.
Absolutely.
And then that obviously got shelved when he got into trouble.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but what you were saying, Wayne, about the producer, Bruce Fairbairn is they needed a producer at that time.
Yeah.
They need someone to say, no, you're not doing that. You're not doing that stupid little song you wanted, John on the guitar doing something, airy fairy. You're not doing this. Redo that take, do this, make this better. They need someone to herd them.
You're right.
There's a lot of egos in that band,
Yeah.
Bruce Fairbairn was awesome, and I had to make that joke because Bon Jovi, I mean, he produced all those records like Slippery When Wet, but he was an excellent producer. I mean, him and Bob Rock, at that late 80s, early 90s time, Bob Rock obviously had, Motley Crue and Metallica and stuff. And then Bruce Fairbairn was doing Yes. And he's had his name on a lot of records, and he's Canadian royalty.
Yeah.
And so is Dan Aykroyd. I had to say, you mentioned Dan Aykroyd a few minutes ago. He's from Ottawa, Ontario. Let's give it up for Ontario.
Oh, yeah, he's always around here, actually.
I need to interject here. I'm going to have to leave.
You're going to have to head out? Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to have to leave the show. I thank you for having me
of course
here. It's great talking with all of you. When it comes around my turn to spin, even though I'm not going to be here, I'm not going to spin. I'm moving talk up a notch.
Okay. Let's do that.
So when it comes around my turn, even though I'm not here, pretend I'm here and move talk up.
Okay. All right. I saw that coming.
I bid you all a good night. Thank you so much. Everybody tune in Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. on the West Coast for the Music Box with Uncle Steve at deepnuggets.com, followed by Matt Brown and his Playground of Sound at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Plug. Here it goes.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
All right.
Take it easy, guys, okay?
Take care,
Rock
man.
on, Uncle Steve.
Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, we're running fairly late here, so that's okay. That's okay. We're having a good time, right? So
yeah.
All right.
So that's my turn anyway. I hope I don't get Heaven and Earth because I hate that album. And anyway, let's go.
At Murphy's Law.
Get a 25 chance, my friend.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't stand this album. Like, I don't like anything about this album, but I'm because I'm trying to. I wouldn't disrespect any of the guys in the band. Obviously, this is Chris Squire's swan song. This is the last record that he did with the band, and John Davison. He's so desperately. He's awesome. He's a great singer. He's a great writer. I love his Glass Hammer stuff. He's great, and this is him really trying to connect with the other guys in the band, right? Now, I still can't put it above D tier. I have so much respect for John Davison and everyone else that played on this record, but the final outcome, I'm just not a fan. I mean, I shouldn't say I hate it because I'm sure that there's something along the lines in here that's actually quite enjoyable. So I'm going to retract my hatred comment because we don't hate anything here on Brockway's Vinyl Bites, people. We really don't. I just don't like this album, and it's not very often. Matt, how often do you hear me go on the Playground of Sound and go, I love this is one of my favorite songs. It's one of my favorite songs. I love the song. You hear that comment a lot.
I've heard that. Yeah.
So this is the first time probably that you've ever heard me say I don't like something.
Yeah.
I don't like that album. I respect y'all's choices. If you love it, that's great. I don't like it. D tier. Next.
I reserve the word hate for things like war and intolerance.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
When it comes to music, like, it ain't my cup of tea if I don't like something. But it doesn't have any bearing on anything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay. I definitely retract the hate comment, but yeah, you got me. Okay,
I'm not taking you to task or anything. It's just, but it's like there are songs I do hate, I suppose, but you won't hear me talking about them very much. Let's put it that way.
and that's why this is the first time that you've ever heard me say anything like that.
Yeah,
because I choose to not exude that kind of energy typically, but I've never liked this album. I don't hate it. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
I think
Came out
I
of the
think the
gate.
one song off that album I like is Subway Walls, the closer.
Yeah.
Is all right.
Yeah. I like the first song, and there's another track on there called To Ascend that I like quite a bit.
Yeah.
But I hear you.
Yeah, I'm just, maybe, yeah. It's a shame that this is the one that Chris Squire, R.I.P., went out on, right?
Yeah.
This is, but hey, you know what?
It's such
What's
a
that?
mellow album. It's almost like, I remember friends of mine were kind of describing it as like, if Yes did a Moody Blues type record, it might sound like this. And that actually helped me kind of find a way to
To
navigate.
appreciate it.
Yeah, because that's the thing with a band like Yes that's had all these personnel changes, and it's so hard to it's hard to be objective about a lot of the stuff.
Yeah,
Especially
and
favorites, and you have the stuff that's really spoken to you. Becomes a big challenge to do that sometimes.
And you know what? Especially when you're active on social media and you're actually connected to some of the guys that have played on the album, you don't
Yeah.
want to say things because you have so much respect for those musicians, right?
Bingo.
Like I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I've got mad respect for Jeff Downs, John Davis, and Billy Sherwood. I don't know if Billy Sherwood's on this one, but um, I've got big respect for all of those guys. I don't like this album.
Yeah.
But the two after it are fine. But
I figure if it's okay for them to say, I figure if it's okay for Rick to say he doesn't like Tales, it's okay for us to say we don't like one of these albums just because he was on it. So what?
Right.
You know what? It's funny about artists. Who either know that their fans don't like certain albums or they don't like certain albums themselves. I went to see Metallica about 6 months ago in Montreal. Did the big trek up there, and they did 2 nights, two different shows. And anyway, long story short, but they get 3 or 4 songs in on night 2, and James Hetfield goes, "Here's one from everyone's favorite Metallica album, Saint Anger," and then they played Dirty Window, and it was awesome. It was great. I'll take I'll take Saint Anger over Heaven and Earth. Anyway. Next up, Wayne.
Yeah. I will say though that it was a waste of some really great Roger Dean artwork.
Yeah.
For that record.
Great cover.
Yeah, his artwork the last 3 albums has been spectacular. And let's just take Uncle Steve's turn now. Let's move the top.
Okay.
Let's put that up to B, and then we'll move over to Wayne. Okay.
Okay.
No moving talk back down. There we go.
Big Jan.
Oh man, Big Generator. I think had this album come out maybe a year or 2 earlier, it probably would have fared a lot better.
Yeah.
But when it came out in 1987, that was such a great year for music. And there's parts of this album I've listened to, and it doesn't sound like Yes. Like, I start picturing other bands that it starts to sound like. I know it has Shoot High, Aim Low on it, but I remember listening to this, and I'm like, it's not bad, but it's also I just don't feel it.
Yeah,
right
on it,
right.
And so if I had to put it somewhere, I think I'd put it in C tier.
C tier, okay, that's all right.
It's just one of those albums where I'm like talking about Heaven and Earth. They can't all be winners.
Yeah.
This seemed to me to be the one where it really became evident that Yes needed to change a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the album. I like, especially we've got Love Will Find a Way. That's a great pop song. I'm Running, Rhythm of Love. Of course, the title track is excellent too. You mentioned Shoot High, Aim Low. I would not have put this low, but I totally respect your choice. That's totally fine. I mean, I did just totally slag the absolute shit out of heaven and earth, right? So, I mean, somewhere out there, that thing is someone's favorite Yes album. You know?
Oh, I know.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I have at least a couple people who adore that record. So there you
Yeah.
go.
I still feel bad for saying I hate it. I don't hate it. It's just, you know.
All right.
Anyway, big generator in the C section.
Yeah.
Okay.
I might be if I have a lot of nostalgia for that period because that was my first Yes tour. But yeah, it's a very different record for them. And I agree with Wayne's comment about if it had come out when it was supposed to, which was like a year or two earlier, it probably would have been more in line with what was going on, you know?
It's amazing to think that they only made 2 albums in the 1980s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is kind of wild, especially with that lineup being, I mean, the 90125 tour was long and profitable and successful, you know, and it is kind of wild that they only did those 2 albums during that era.
Yeah.
Well, and Trevor Rabin did a really good solo album around the time too. I think like a year or something later, or maybe the same year. Was it both 1987?
No, it was after Big Generator.
It was after Can't Look Away.
Yeah.
Let's take a moment to talk about his new solo record. Have you guys listened to it yet?
Yeah.
I've only heard a couple tunes, but I really want to hear the rest of it.
Spectacular. S tier.
All right.
So, Mr. Matt, you got well, one or the other.
I got a 50-50 shot with this one. Fly From Here.
Not a bad one.
This album is another one of those unique situations. I have to confess, at the time that this record was new, I had kind of soured on the band a bit. Not because of this album, mind you. It was a lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
Which I won't get into now, but just personal stuff, interpersonal stuff, etc., etc. You know, my life was taking some different turns, and there were a lot of reasons behind it. I've listened to this album. I've revisited it a handful of different times over the years, and recently finally got to hear the Trevor Horn sung version, and I like it a lot better than I did when it was new. And it's weird because like I like the mix on the Benoit David version, but I like hearing Trevor's voice on it. So it's almost like I wish the Trevor Horn version had been mastered like the Benoit version. It's kind of weird, but I don't know where I'd put it. I'd probably put it in the C tier. That said, you know, that there's parts of the Fly From Here suite that I really, really dig, and obviously that was a piece of music that existed back during the drama days, and they used to play it on the drama tour. And I think I recall liking the last song. What was it called? Into the Storm.
Yeah.
Okay, right on. Yeah, I've heard Uncle Steve played that suite before on Deep Nuggets, and lots of love for Deep Nuggets here tonight, eh?
Well,
I think the count, like the listener count, will definitely add a couple of the people who've been in here for sure.
We are pretty Yes and Genesis heavy. I mean, that's because quite a few of the DJs are big fans. So, you know, in the midst of everything else, there's always a nice chunk.
Have you guys got around to hearing the Oliver Wakeman stuff that wasn't
Yeah,
on the album that they released?
Your Life or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. A page or whatever for a page. I think to a page.
From a page.
Thank you.
Yeah, from a page.
There's some good stuff there.
Yeah, it's shame that what happened with him and the band, and
Yeah.
because I really dig a lot of those tracks off there. Thought it would have made a better album, but is what it is.
There's rarely a pleasant exit from Yes.
Yeah. That appears to be the case.
Someone in the comments here says, why are we talking about Yes? Well, you know what I say? I say, why not?
All right, last one.
It's the perfect retort.
Poke in the eye with a sharp stick, eh?
We love Yes, and yeah, that's just what we felt like doing. So, Lorne,
Last one.
I wonder which one it's going to be. Let's spin.
Fingers crossed.
The Key Studio or The Void, which is an unreleased album.
Yeah.
This album. I love the Keys to Ascension material. It was very exciting. I lived in Calgary that year. I lived there 1 year, and it was the year that the first Keys to Ascension came out. And it was pretty exciting because at the time, Steve Howe and Rick Wakeman hadn't been in the band for quite a while. They were Nutson's Union, right? So suddenly they were back, and the talk period was over. I didn't mind talk, but they were doing old school 70s style epics again, and maybe they weren't quite as well done as Close to the Edge, but they're good. And I really loved That Is, and Children of Light, and Mind Drive's a big one, and I really liked them. And I liked the live material that came out at that time too, when they resurrected Awaken and Revealing Signs of God and America, and
That's right, they did.
so it was good stuff for me. I really liked it, and I still have those original Keys to Ascension CDs, but I also had to get this one because it has a slightly different mix on one of the songs, so I had to get it.
So where do you want to throw this one on the list here, Lorne?
Again, this is that in between A and B thing that we've done a few times, but I'm going to go with A because I think it is as good as Magnification or better.
Well,
in there, so
A's getting pretty full because I get one more turn because I haven't taken my change in album turn.
You get to make a change, yeah.
I get to make one change, and I'm so sorry, Wayne. Love you, brother, but Big Generator goes up in A for me.
Oh.
Yeah. Hey.
So we all still have changes? Change turn?
Oh, literally, yeah. Pun intended. Yeah. You can change if you want.
Okay. I'm moving Big Generator back to where it was.
We can't undo these things.
Oh.
That's okay. It's fine. We can put
it over here.
Let's you know what? Let's meet in the middle and we'll put it in the B tier. How's that?
Okay.
Compromise all. There we go. Everyone's happy, right? Awesome. Well, we've completed it. We have done the impossible. We have done the unthinkable here on Brockway's Vinyl Bites. Oh, I got Hathead from Hell. What's that, Matt?
That was a good one.
How this was going to happen, but it did.
This has turned out perfectly, and this is not far off from the list that I would make just on my own without any others' inputs.
It's pretty good, yeah.
This is pretty good. I mean,
it's relatively close for me too. I mean, I definitely would have a couple things in a few different places, but yeah, it's pretty close for me too.
Yeah.
You want to make a change, Matt?
Let me look. My poor eyesight. Actually, no, I'm going to leave it right where it's at. The only thing I would possibly do is maybe put 90125 up in the S.
Nice.
Yeah, you know what? I'm doing it. Put 90125 up in the S tier. If it's my.
I already used my turn.
Okay, Wayne, do you want to make one last change?
No, I think that's actually pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, because Big Generator is not. It is good, but it's not nearly. It's not as good as 90125. There's no way around that. It's just not. But, yeah, awesome. Okay, we've done the unthinkable. Roman Obscure has one question for us, and it is a serious one. Anyone have problems with Yes lyrics? Do they really mean anything? I've heard that Anderson searched for lyrics that sounded good. I heard someone say, I watched Sea of Tranquility a lot, and someone said around the time that John started writing stories with his lyrics, like in Circus of Heaven, he says, I prefer that John just stuck to writing the incoherent BS. That's what someone said.
Actually, that's a great question. Yeah, because John used to use words. Either he or a critic called it like the equivalent of like word painting, like it was another instrument, rather than the traditional role of like, oh, I'm the lead singer and I got to sing about my car and sex and all that stuff. And it just made it another part of the music. And that's one of the things that made Yes so different from everybody else, what made them unique. It drove some people crazy about them at the same time. But yeah, I'm more on that too. I like the fact that the lyrics don't necessarily have a literal meaning, that you could listen to them and take them a multitude of different ways. One of the things I like about those 70s records in particular.
Yeah.
Well, and they're built to suit the music, right? So you can pay more attention to the music and not worry about missing out on a storyline. I mean, Saul Dupe Elias, I don't really understand what that means. Sun Tower asking, you know. But that's a great question, and I like John's lyrics, even about the rearrange your liver to the solid mental grace. I love it. I love the nonsensical stuff he's talking about. I think it's they at that time they didn't have much meaning, and but they mean a lot to us, right? So there's that. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah,
I really appreciate having Wayne, Matt, Lorne. You guys are ever so faithful to Brockway's Vinyl Bites, and I'm hoping that Matt will come join us many more times. Roman Obscure says, thanks for that. You guys are great. Let's do this again. Hey, you guys are great. All of you guys watching this on demand afterwards, and all of you guys watching live in the stream. We love all of you so much. Often lyrics is more important. Often lyrics is more part of the sound than lyrical content, unless it's complete bunk. Yeah. I guess you're right.
That's a valid opinion too. It's true.
So who do we want to do next week? Do we want to do Pink Floyd? Do we want to do Jethro Tull, or do we want to do Queen?
I could do either of the first two.
Yeah, Pink Floyd would be a good one.
Let's do Floyd.
Floyd, okay. No Queen? No love for Queen?
Well, in time.
Yeah,
in time.
I don't know that all of their catalog as well.
All right. Okay.
But before we leave, Cody, be sure, if you can, either live or video on demand tomorrow, check me and Cody out on the Prog Corner, where we're there with the great Scott Lade, and we're going to be discussing the entire discography of Gentle Giant.
Yeah.
I'll check that out.
See, I could have done that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Lauren and Wayne, really nice to meet you both.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
Yeah, that was fun.
Thanks, guys.
God love all three of three of you guys, and Uncle Steve too. Thanks for joining. I really appreciate it. I think this video is going to resonate with a lot of people. So
yeah, thanks, Cody. Love you, bro.
Yeah, thanks, Cody.
Hey, love you too, man. Love you too.
Take care of yourselves. I'll see you soon. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll see you next week.
All right. Woohoo!
All right. So the stream is done.